And we are recording.
So we're in our second session of having a conversation about the book called Physicians of the Heart, book about the 99 most beautiful names of Allah. So we last time did chapter 1 and chapter 4, and in doing chapter 1 we delved into the meaning of the name Allah quite significantly. So we'll have the first three names in our work today will be Allah, Rahman, and Rahim. So let's just say...
What? Unmute yourself, Talat. Talat, can you unmute yourself? Thank
Yes,
you.
I just did. So we have the names Allah and Rahman and Rahim first up. So let's do 33 wazifa repetitions of Bismillah, Rahman, Rahim. Yes, Hassan.
Before we begin, let's invocate. Can you lead us in?
Oh, okay, do the invocation, yes.
Please do.
Toward the One, the perfection of love, harmony, and beauty, the only being, united with all the illuminated souls who form the embodiment of the Master, the Spirit of Guidance. Bismillahirrahmanirrahim. 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 So when we last time looked into chapter 1, one of the salient points about the name Allah that was given was an etymology for the name of Allah from Wallaha, meaning to love ravishly. And that's one of the etymologies for the name of Allah. The other one would be Aleph Lam Ha, which would be the root for Allah and Allah and for Elo in the Hebrew Bible, such as that. So we're going to proceed on from the description of Allah that we were immersed in last time into chapter 6, which is called Love's Mysteries, which begins with a short discussion of Allah based on it coming from the verb wallaha, to love passionately, to love madly. And so, to talk about Rahman and Rahim. And I'm just going to take one more stab at the question of a toolbar, which I don't have. Okay. Um,
Talat,
so,
Talat.
yeah.
Shamsuddin just messaged me in the chat box, and he says, I have chapter 6 if you give me permission to share.
Yeah, let's put up chapter 6.
Okay.
Thank you.
Are you able to share now, Shamsuddin? Shams?
I don't see him on the screen. Oh, there he is. Okay.
Okay, Talat, it's about ready to come up. Hang on one second.
Looks good. This is great because then I can read it. My room is a little too dark for reading the
Can you
book.
see? You should be
There it
seeing it
is.
now. Do you see it?
Yes, I see it. Okay, wonderful.
Okay.
Thank you.
Jump.
Okay. You can admire
Yeah.
the beautiful calligraphy of the names in Roman letters. And let's go to the next page. Okay. Um, yes, okay, good. This is the intro. And here's the piece about Waliha. Let's go to the next page. We're really kind of working our way toward Rahman. Let's go further. Go until you see Rahman.
Okay.
Okay. There's an interesting fact here. Let's back up for a second, please. Back up one more time. And try it one more time. Well, we lost it there, but the point that was made there that was interesting is that the phrase La ilaha illallah appears only 3 times in the Quran, whereas here, you're on the right page now, in the lower left-hand corner of this page, that the phrase La ilaha illahu appears 30 times in the Quran, that the sound hu is of great significance. And the famous verse of the throne begins, Allahu la ilaha illa hu. Allahu, God, la ilaha illa, there is no God but who, but he, but him. Okay, let's go further. I can't move the screen, so I'll let you do that. And let's go to the Rahman part. By the way, who is technically a male pronoun that also functions to serve it. There is a female pronoun. I'll make points like that occasionally. So Rahman and Rahim. Just in case this is news, make sure we all know that the root of each and both of these two names is the 3-letter root of Ra, Ha, and Mim. So there's the name Rahman, which has R-H-M in it. There's the name Rahim, which has the letters R, H, and M in them. And the root of these names is the noun, the simple, basic, ordinary noun Rahma. And the noun Rahma means compassion, or grace, or mercy, or kindness. And like the name Rahim, there's a word in Arabic, Rahim, not Rahim, which is the name of God, but there's the word Rahim, which is discussed, I'm sure, in this paragraph or two on Rahman and Rahim. And the word Rahim means womb, W-O-M-B. So we have the names Rahman and Rahim, and as they point out here in the phrase, in the Basmala phrase, Bismillahir-Rahman-ir-Rahim.
Whoops.
Yeah, we know what a womb is. We may use a dictionary for something else. The womb of love. So we have 3 names for love. Allah coming from Allah. Allah coming from the noun to love ravishly, and Rahman being God's mercy, compassion, kindness, and love, in the sense that that love is continuously extending and outpouring.
Shams, you want to? There we go.
Good, okay. And then, so
Sorry about
the
that.
word shape of Rahman, it's endlessly overpouring. And in the word shape of Rahim, same root but different structure that the three letters go into, it's the attribute and the quality and the action of that Rahma. So Rahman is the one name among the 99 names that can only be said of God, whereas Rahim can be predicated upon other things. For example, there's a list of the 202 names of the Prophet Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam, and one of the 202 names of the Prophet Muhammad is Rahim, but the name Rahman is not one of the 202 names of the Prophet Muhammad. All right? So traveling from a womb of love to a womb of love. Let's go to the next page. So the endless love of Rahma. Ar-Rahim, at the bottom of the page, expresses how intensely this infinite merciful love is poured into every being and everything without exception. And the chapter of Mary, which is chapter 19 in the Quran, one of the two major Virgin Mary narratives, shows this very clearly. All right. Then we have the idea that Rahman is a sun-like quality, a masculine sun-like quality of this Rahma, this basic grace and mercy, kindness and compassion. And Rahim has a feminine moon-like quality. Okay, let's go to the next page. All right, very good. The qualities of a Rahman and a Rahim address the deepest wound in the human psyche. Let me give you a small technical note about that. Ar-Rahman and Ar-Rahim. If you write the letters out, it's AL-Rahman and AL-Rahim. But if you're replicating the sound of the words, then you want to shift that L to R, as we have it here, Ar-Rahman, Ar-Rahim. That's the right way to say it. So the choice here has been to transliterate the sounds of the words rather than the look of the words, so that you say it in the right way. This is key and very important. Okay, so Rahman and Rahim are names that deal with the wounds. Later on in the chapter, it talks about the primary narcissistic wound and the secondary narcissistic wound. The primary narcissistic wound is the feeling that you've been abandoned by God, and the secondary narcissistic wound is the feeling that you have let down your family and your friends and people in society in general. And that these names in particular are very effective at dealing with those two narcissistic wounds that include self-loathing and shame and hate and rejection, whether the first wound, abandoned by God, or the second wound, abandoned by persons. Next page, please. So calling on Ya Rahman and Ya Rahim. So when you have the Ya in front of the name, this is the vocative particle. This means you're saying, Oh Rahman, Oh Rahim. So Ya Rahman, Ya Rahim is everyone's remedy for these narcissistic wounds. So Rahman, is unconditional love. And Rahim is specifically directed love. And I like a translation that is done by Tarif Khalidi in his recent Quran translation. He translates the Basmala as in the name of God, merciful to all, for Rahman, and compassionate to each, for Rahim. Let's go to the next page, please. Yes, the quality of Rahma is tender, or as Shakespeare said, the quality of mercy is not strained. All right. So those are some basic features of Rahman and Rahim. I'm going to pull out right now the second best book on the divine names by Bawa Muhayyiddin, called the Asma al-Husna. Shamsuddin, your screen just came on. Now the book is gone.
Did you want the
book?
Okay, very good.
Please. And in this particular book, they do a page of names so you can grasp the basic idea in about 3 seconds. And so for Rahman, it gives the merciful, the compassionate, the most gracious, the beneficent, kind, understanding, and the cherisher. And for Rahim, in the Bawa Muhayyiddin book of the 99 names, for Rahim it gives the compassionate, the most merciful, the clement, the kind, the understanding, the sustainer, and the redeemer. So if you're looking for your next 99 names book, this is a very handy little book to pick up on by Bawa Muhayyiddin.
Could you repeat the name of the book again, please?
Yeah, the book is called Asma al-Husna. Look at the screen and you'll see the words. And the author's name is a little bit of a spelling project. What does it say on the cover? M.R. Bawa, B-A-W-A, and his last name is M-U-H-A-I-D-D-E-E-N. Bawa Muhayyiddin. He was a sheikh from Sri Lanka who settled in Philadelphia in 1973. That's a picture of Bawa Muhayyiddin from the book. Sharif Baba called Bawa Muhayyiddin the Kutub of North America. Okay, let me just get rid of this WinZip invitation. Okay, so now the name Barter. So this is a chapter of names collected based on there being names about love and giving the qualities of love. And he says here that Al-Bar is perfect, unconditional love, like the love that a mother has, pure love that a mother has for her baby. So some of the synonyms given are merciful, compassionate, very benign, or good. But good in the sense that Plato meant by good, the absolute goodness that is at the fundamental root of the universe, that kind of goodness. Okay? And he says that it's the equivalent of the Greek agape, over here, this word for unconditional love. This is the kind of love associated with Jesus. All right? So, meanings of bar include gentleness toward parents and loved ones, kindness to strangers, so the root of the word bar appears in a tangible, material way in a word birra, which is a first fruit from a plant that bears very sweet berries. This is perfect love, the root of al-bar. Bara fit qawlihi means to be true to your word, veracious, prudent, sound, and honest. If you say you will do something, you will do it. Let's go to the next page, please. Ibn Arabi calls this one of the highest stations of the saints, perfect love in a seamless world. People who live in this way of bar are called muhsin. Muhsin comes from the root that gives us the name Hassan and gives us the word ihsan. Ihsan is, as the Prophet said, ihsan is to worship God as if you see Him, and as you don't, then know that He sees you. So muhsin is a person of goodness and beauty. People of bar are also called siddiq, which means sincere and true and righteous, and abrar, which is a form of the word bar, perfect love, true Sufis. Shamsuddin, you're going a little fast, yes?
It's hard. It takes a 6-second delay, so I was trying to anticipate. Sorry.
Oh, okay. Just wondering. Okay, very good. All right, now go ahead to the next page, please.
Hang on a second.
Okay.
I got
Everybody.
something. There we go. Wait 6 seconds. Here it comes.
You may need to screen share again, Sham.
Oh, did I lose it? Okay, hang on.
In Bawa Mahayadin's book for Bar, he gives it as the righteous, the dutiful and devoted, the kind, and the benign benefactor. Almost there, Shamsuddin. There we go. All right. Okay.
Yay! Good work.
Good is our word for what's good, and as a synonym for bar, it gives altaf, which is a intensive form of the very gentle word latif, the subtle, the gentle. Okay. So then there's a nice pun that comes in the next paragraph, that there's a hadith that deliberately plays with this word, because bir, meaning mind or heart and soul, also means goodness, and bar also means the dryness of the earth. And so the hadith says that when you can't find water to do your ablutions in, wash yourselves with the dust of the earth, for the earth is a bar to you, a source of goodness to you, a source of dry earth.
Aye.
So al-bar, through all these variations, is a example of kamal. So in the 99 names, we've got 3 categories of names. We've got the kamal name, which is usually reserved for the name Allah, as the name of perfection, kamal. Then all the other names fall into one of 2 categories. Some of the names are jamal names, names of beauty. For example, Bar and Latif and Rahman and Rahim would be Jamal names, right? And then we have Jalal names, which are awesome, mighty, majestic names, Jalal names. Yeah, okay, good. Keep going slowly, Shamsuddin. I'm losing my place a little bit. Okay. So we have the Kamal qualities and the Jalal power and the beauty qualities. So Bar is one of the Jamal names. Okay. So let's go ahead to the next page. Although there is an interesting point, I just underscore, they're pointing out that there's the famous phrase, Insan al-Kamil, the perfect human being, a phrase usually reserved for the Prophet Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam. And they're pointing out in the book that the word insan for human being comes from the root word which is uns. And the word uns means intimacy. So the human being is the being who is able to be intimate with each other, and intimate with God. Okay, so that's our treatment of bar, a tonic that helps humanity awaken to this intimacy, this unsiya of insan, this intimacy of the intimate one. So then we have Haleem. Now, there's some very interesting things going on in the name Haleem. So take the page turning very slowly here, because I want to make sure to capture some of these beautiful points. What makes this week better? Okay. So some physical forms of the word. The verb halama means to attain puberty. Halama means to fill something like an animal water skin with water. The connection between puberty and filling. Shamsuddin, please. Shamsuddin, go ahead and turn the page. 6-second delay on the page turn.
There's a slight delay. Here it comes.
Okay, do it slow. Yes. Okay. So halama, to grow big breasts with tender nipples, this puberty theme of halama. There's also the word hulm, Hulm, which is a category, and ahlam, which is an intensive form, which are categories in dream interpretation. All right. So the active imagination in the manner of dreams. Go ahead and turn the page, please. 6-second delay, of course. Okay.
Did you move your laundry?
It is God who dreams us, and we who dream God. Okay. So there's mention here of the Khalq Jadid, which is Ibn Arabi's teaching that God is creating and recreating the universe at every single instant and every single second. And that's how God can be the creator without changing his nature, because he's always creating. He never stops creating. Every moment is a new creation. All right? So this is the only moment like itself. Right? Moment to moment, each breath of creation and dissolution. One of the sacred hadith is Allah saying, I am as my servant imagines me to be. Such imagining is creative imagination. This is a function of the form of Haleem, of the dreaming state. Yes, go ahead, Shamsuddin, and turn, please. There's the word home, Hulm, comes from the same thing. The ability to maintain calm or reason when we are overcome by anger or extreme emotion. So this is part of that gentleness and forbearingness that lots of the books define Haleem as representing, is that gentleness and forbearingness. Haleem is the opposite of hastiness or quick temper. It's the antidote for a nafs al-amra, the dominating ego soul. Okay, Shamsuddin, thank you. Next page. Almost.
Wait, you lost screen share again, Shams.
Oh, hang on. Okay, I did lose screen share, and it should be coming. back momentarily. Oh, shoot. Screen share. And screen and
In the Bawa Muhayyiddin book of the 99 names, it gives Haleem as the clement, the mild, the gentle, the forbearant, and the patient.
is the screen back?
No, it's not.
Not yet.
So we're in the cluster of names of God's love and the mysteries of God's love. Names like Rahman, Rahim, Bar, and Haleem. So we just did Bar, and we're in Haleem. Haleem is a long chapter, so we've got a few more pages to take a look at in Haleem. So when you can bring Haleem back up. After we do Haleem, we will do Wadud, the loving, God is the lover, and Ra'uf, the kind one, and we probably will be able to draw close to things at that point. There's also Latif in this chapter too. Okay.
Do you see the screen? Do you see the screen?
Yes, thank you. Yeah, thanks for asking. Sorry, Shamsuddin. I was looking at my physical book.
Okay.
Hard to read. I don't have a lot of light above, so, but I can read it actually. All right. So let's go to the next page. So the mastery of Al-Halim is to gain maintain a calm over the condition of the soul. Then there's another word, halama, which comes from a tick, which I don't find that particularly helpful to my needs. Invocation of Ya Haleem in the second column allows us to maintain calmness. Not calmness itself, it is more like calming down, to maintain calm in the midst of an emotional upheaval. Now I like this next piece very much, that home comes from the same root as Haleem. Home, calming down, is connected in its meaning with the word sakina. Sakina is the Arabic word for Shekinah. Sakina appears in chapter 2, verse 248, and as the Ark of the Covenant's attribute, with King Saul in particular. Sakina appears in chapter 9, verses 26 and 40, and Sakina appears in chapter 48, verses 4, 18, and 26. And the Sakina means tranquility, or serenity, if you like. I've seen it translated both ways. So home goes along, and the name Haleem goes along with the theme of Sakina. I take this to mean that Sakina is an attribute of home and of Haleem. Okay, Shamsuddin, let's do another page turn. Inner peace descends like rain upon the hearts of those who are agitated. Those words, inner peace, are the translation for Sakina. And Sakina, as you saw in the previous paragraph, is a word that originated from the Hebrew Shekhinah, the indwelling place. But in Arabic it means tranquility. And this word often comes up in the bayat, the initiation pledge, when you join a Sufi order, when you take hand and give hand with a sheikh, with a murshid, with a peer. Because that's what the companions of the Prophet did when they were in a period of danger, as they took hand with the Prophet under the tree. And the Sakina is what descended down upon them. So on high, the Sakina flows down upon their hearts of the people in the circle. One of the companions asked if even somebody who comes to do something like borrow a cup of milk gets the Sakina from God. And the Prophet Muhammad said, Shamsuddin,
Yeah.
even those persons who had no idea what they were doing in the circle received the Sakina. Al-Haleem sends the Halm down, or you might say Al-Haleem allows us to let this quality in. Haleem is the tender love that can forgive. It is the love that always forgives. It is like Al-Ghafur and Al-Ghaffar, which what I remember about Ghafur compared to Ghaffar is that Ghaffar is more comprehensive and inclusive and absolute and unconditional than Ghafur. Okay, so we need Haleem as a condition to experience forgiveness. Okay. All right, let's go on to the next page. Hold it there, yeah. Okay. All right, and the next page, you kind of went back. Okay. I'll let this be, and let's go on to the next page. All right, so this is about the quality of our dreams. And Haleem is a name that relates to dreams because Holm is a name for dream interpretation. So let's continue on. Al-Haleem has to do with salvation rather than what we might call enlightenment or revelation. Salvation comes through grace, not through work. And for grace to happen, you have to reach that place that feels like the greatest sigh of relief, like Abraham's sighing of, ah. And you come to know yourself as unbreakable. Okay, let's go to the next page. Where Sakina comes up again. So we have this link between Haleem and Sakina. Sakina is a very beautiful word. And I gave you the verse numbers if you want to look up some beautiful verses about tranquility. Those verses are the verses about tranquility, about Sakina. Okay, Shamsuddin, thank you. Please, let's go to the next page. All right, and the next page. And here's the situation of people who watch a lot of television or narcotics. Haleem apparently is an antidote to that kind of tendency. All right, Shamsuddin, thank you. Let's go to the next page. The tender love of Al-Haleem. I am beyond my anger, I am beyond my hurt, I am beyond my pride, I am beyond my brokenness. I am waiting in this eternal peacefulness. I know that in this infinite patience is the womb of creation. In this place I can create or I can be created. This is home, and it is a feminine quality in the love of God. Okay, thank you, Shamsuddin. Next page, please. Ya Haleem is a wonderful practice for a person to start when there's a great amount of anger at the surface. It's a very beautiful name. Repeating Ya Haleem will start the process of calming down. So then there's advice to the physician of the heart. I'm not a sheikh or a murshid. I'm not here to tell you how to practice these names. I'm here to increase your appreciation of the meaning and the beauty of the names, and you work with your own teacher and your own conscience about what you do, how you work with the names. Okay, let's go to the next page. Ya Haleem is also appropriate. to prescribe to those who are in their final stages of surrender, a place where they need to sigh. And there's a suggestion to combine names of Ya Ghafur, O forgiveness, Ya Haleem, that's one pair, and another pair, Ya Sabur, O patient one, or source of patience, and Ya Haleem, O source of gentleness and forbearance. Yes, please go ahead. Okay, very good. In the Hindu myth of creation, the primordial state is the waters, Vishnu Narayana. Vishnu is the god asleep in the primordial waters of infinity, beyond time and space. Then Vishnu awakens, and the next cycle of the manifest universe comes out of his awakening from his dream in that primordial, undifferentiated space of pure potentiality. So in that Hindu myth, we see the potential power of a dream in that way. All right, so now intimate love, Ya Wadud. And Wadud is the root that gives us the English name and the Hebrew name. In English, it's David. In Hebrew, it's David. And they come from the same root that means love. The core root of this word is wood. W-U-D-D. Wood. Like, knock on wood. Okay? Sort of like that. All right? It says here, Al-Wadud is the most overtly erotic name that is used in the names in the Quran. Is an intimate love, a secret love that may be hidden in the heart from even, Shamsuddin, go ahead, please. From even the lover. A general meaning of Al-Wadud is heart love. It is the way that Allah is loved in the hearts of the divine friends. One form of the root, Awtad, has the physical plane meaning of a wooden peg that holds a tent down. An erotic connection can be seen in Al-Wadud's purposeful meaning of attached to. We are attached to Al-Wadud in the same way we would be attached to a lover. It is the most deeply penetrating connection we have. That is why Al-Wadud is love in the heart. It is in our heart of hearts, our secret heart, our sir, which is the next level of heart interior to the physical heart. We are physically pegged to Allah in our depths. Let's go to the next page, please. Okay. And the whole question of Sufi poetry, what kind of love are they writing about? All of the above, wine and erotic love, spiritual love. And the sound code, which partly means the shape of the word, embedded in the Arabic grammar, intensifies the meaning of Al-Wadud. It emphasizes deep penetration, going right into the heart of things, into the essence. What's in your heart and your secret heart, this is Wadud, the peg that holds down the tent of existence. Let's look at some of the next page. Contextual ways Al-Wadud is used in the Quran, where it appears 29 times. Amul salatihi sayfallahu lahumurihi rahmatullahi wudda. Those who believe, most gracious, bestows love. Al-Wadud always appears along with loving compassion, which in this verse is expressed by Ar-Rahman. Ar-Rahman gives a kind of certainty, an inner certainty, and is an action that promotes peaceful, harmonious coexistence with the rest of the universe. In the context of this Quranic verse, we have both inner certainty and outer action. The kind of action that ensues is in line with the natural flow of the universe. Such action involves loving surrender rather than self-will. It can truly and literally, therefore, be called Islam, and it naturally gives rise to peace and harmony. So you all know that the word Islam is the intensification form of the word for peace, which is salam. So salam becomes reconfigured into the structure called fourth form, and it's Islam, with the emphasis intensifying the meaning, gives rise to peace and harmony. Next page, please. Rahman brings al-Wadud and other sifat or divine names. Wastagfiruhu rabbakum thumma tubtu ilayha inna rabbi rahimun rahim. Wadud. Wastagfiruhu is like super forgiveness, loving forgiveness. It involves tawbah, turning. Tawbah, turning is what it means, but tawbah, of course, also means repentance. And as the name of God, it's the one who happily receives repentance from you. Al-Wadud is moving from non-forgiveness to forgiveness. Okay, so both Al-Tawab and Al-Wadud have the same quality. Next page, please. Yes, have the quality of using the appearance of a negative as a springboard to realization of the positive quality. Hate to love, for example, they are good to recite together. Ya Tawab, Ya Wadud. Okay, and so again, the word Wadud comes up in the Quran many times. The souls return to God in fana, in self-effacement. And the two most essential names there are Ghafur, the forgiving, and Al-Wadud, the loving. They share the form and the sound code of penetrating deeply into the heart of hearts. If you can see it, the Ghafur and Wadud are words with the same shape. They both have an A vowel in the first syllable. They both have a U, was actually a consonant U in the second syllable. Ghafur and Wadud are the same shape. Just that the way the root is distributed is slightly different, but ever so slightly. And in that sound code format, it means penetrating deeply into the heart of hearts. Al-Wadud is erotic love, attached love, but you can't get to the depth of such love if you have the kind of blockage that comes from coagulating your identity around some deep wound in your heart that you haven't. Page turn, please. Forgiven. With the forgiveness of Al-Ghafur, the depth of Al-Wadud will arise as a loving, intimate connection with the manifest universe. Consequently, a pair that's recommended is Ya Ghafur, Ya Wadud. What Al-Wadud offers has been called the spiritual erotic. Okay, this is a dynamic of Sufi poetry, where the erotic is both physical and spiritual at the same time. There is a celebrated hadith in which the Prophet Muhammad says the three things he likes most are women, perfume, and prayer. And Ibn Arabi takes a whole chapter to interpret this statement, showing that all these words carry an erotic connotation. The long and the short of it is, if we look around for the door to the presence of the beloved, we find the erotic, we find sexual intercourse. Of course, this may be playing with fire, but playing with fire is a necessity with Al-Wadud. Erotic love is another opportunity to know God. It is essentially love, the same as every other love, both mystical and material. It is part of the path, and its deepest manifestation is called Al-Wadud. Let's go to the next page. Yeah, Wadud. Wood was a pre-Islamic idol, in fact. Al-Wadud materializes on the prophetic level. We see this in the Quran. Asallahu ban yajala baina ladina aidatu minhum mawada wallahu qadir wallahu ghafurun rahim. That word mawadda in the second to last line is a form of wadud. Just it's in a different shape. Okay, let's go to the next page. The Buddhist practice of Tonglen, I guess. Yes, Tonglen. It's a practice of embodying the compassionate Buddha. It is essentially the same as this transformation of hatred into love. Negativity is transformed into the blessing of loving kindness. Compassion spontaneously arises because it is inherent in the essence of all. We are asked to take the essence of Al-Ghafur and Ar-Rahim that Allah has established in our heart and transmute the dense emotion that arises in our desire nature. Hate turns into love. Whatever feeling is arising is intended to be a vehicle for our transformation. Wad, which is a basic noun from wadud, means intimate. We find al-wadud at the very depth of what we most desire. It is the most infinite love possible. Hassan, what time is it now?
It is 7:38.
7:38. Let's do Ra'uf and then seal this up. Shamsuddin, if you would just please go back to the previous page. Inshallah. Oh, there's not much there. Okay, thank you. Ya Ra'uf is an invocation of dense emotion that arises in our desire nature. So Ra'uf, is gentle. Ra'uf is kind. It's a quiet, gentle, profound love. The word kindness comes to mind for me quite a bit with the word Ra'uf. It's a very beautiful word with a very gentle sound. And as it says here, 9 of the 11 times that it occurs in the Quran, it's paired with Ar-Rahim to describe Allah. Rahim is omnipresent in every particular thing. The sound code for Ar-Ra'uf reveals it to be a kind of love that emphasizes a deep, deep penetration into the core of being, into essence. And such love moves right into the essence of what could be called divine placelessness. Ar-Ra'uf has a reputation for being virtually untranslatable. The variation of the root arafu has a physical meaning of wine, but it would have to be a very gentle and mellow wine. Another level of meaning is peaceful, calm. It is the peacefulness of resting in God in the midst of suffering, difficulties, and trials. One of the words for difficulty and trial is fitna. In sword making, you find this way of perfecting through difficulties. To make the steel strong and flexible, it is tempered, heated, and then plunged into water. There are many words for peacefulness. There's the name salam, and there's the word sakina that we just encountered. Ar-Ra'uf is the quiet, loving peacefulness that appears within the context of difficulties. It is internal but not passive. It is maintaining peace, preserving peace, and not just calming down. You center on this peaceful calm to lovingly relieve the suffering of others. That's why it is so close to Ar-Rahim. In both cases, the names compassionately reach out to other people who are suffering. With Ar-Ra'uf, human beings use a calm inner strength to help others when conditions are at their worst and everyone is panicking. There is a manner of serenity that allows you to overcome hostility, anger, and hate. That calm has a way of going deeply into the essence, and it has a soothing or pacifying effect on others. Another meaning of Ar-Ra'uf is to be able to extract or bring forth. The Quran says, Allah brings light out of darkness. The verse says that we are able to bring forth a pure light of peace. With this inner peace, this rafa'ah, we turn toward compassion. Here it is aligned in meaning with the divine name At-Tawwab. Like At-Tawwab, Ar-Ra'uf is always turning toward those people who are the most hostile, the most hateful, and the most negative. It is not passive. It is it is outwardly compassionate and it empowers us to turn repeatedly toward hostile people. Occasionally, some of the 99 names are used at the end of a chapter of the Quran to give a key to the whole meaning of the chapter. At the end of many chapters, there are 2 names. In technical languages, it's called dalil, which means guidance. In the Quran, there is a statement about the Prophet, لَقَدْ تَبَلَّهُ عَلَى الْأَنْبِيَاءِ وَالْمُهَاجِرِينَ وَالْأَنصَارِ. It says the Prophet is always turning toward those groups of people who are suffering from inner corruption. Tawab and Rahim appear as the tag at the end of the verse. And as we have seen, Rahim and Ra'uf are extremely close in meaning. The essential thing that should be emphasized is the quality of deeply rooting ourselves in inward compassion while turning outward toward the people who are really suffering. It also involves turning toward those who have gone from bad to worse. The best way to establish the calm of Al-Ra'uf is in the midst of hostility or in the midst of the worst of difficulties and suffering, because it goes to the very heart of our deepest fears. Isn't this just so great that we have these multiple ways to address God based on the conditions that we're in?
Yes.
Another Quranic reference is Wallahu Rafu'an bil Ibad. The passage is describing the last day. You'll be faced with the very best of what you've done and the very worst of what you've done. A form of Ra'uf is used here. It means that we can face the very worst that we have done with loving compassion, with this gentle, indwelling love. We need to face the gnawing fears that waste us away by realizing and embodying Ar-Ra'uf. Specifically mentioned in relation to Ar-Ra'uf's manifestation is our difficult struggle to survive, to make ends meet, to wrest a livelihood from the earth in times of drought. Embodiment of Ar-Ra'uf is particularly recommended when hostility is focused directly at you, aggressive hostility that causes you mental anguish. We're talking about backbiting, innuendo, carrying tales, and lying about you. Ar-Ra'uf is even subtler and quieter than saying, I forgive so-and-so for causing me harm. It is similar to the divine name Al-Afu, perfect forgiveness. In both cases, there is no trace of any kind of fault that is held. Without Ra'uf, you are quietly expressing love from your deepest place. You express this quiet, gentle love to the very hateful people right into the depth of their being, and of equal importance at the same time, you have no aversion or reaction to the extremity of their condition. You are acting from a calm, quiet, internal love rather than from a wounded place. Most of us are wounded, yet we try to overcome our wounds and be compassionate. Our Ra'uf is beyond that. It is compassion taken to the utmost degree. You should invoke Ya Ra'uf to overcome the deep place that an accuser is coming from, and not as an effort to overcome their accusations. It allows you to become capable of getting into the heart of the one who is directing the hostility towards you. You recognize the negative environment, but get past that by penetrating deeply inside. Jesus said, resist not evil. There is no resistance, no conquering, no giving life to the impressions by reacting to them. This is illustrated in a Zen story about a monk who was accused of getting a young girl pregnant. The family attacked him. He said, "Oh, is that so?" He didn't deny that it was total fiction. He said, "Is that so?" They then forced him to take the child and raise it, which he did. Years later, they found out the truth and tried to apologize to him. He didn't react to that either. But again he responded, "Is that so?" He wouldn't even give life to the charge. Without Ra'uf, you don't deal with the outward stuff, but simply go to the inner heart of the person who's directing all of that hostility. The Prophet Muhammad profoundly demonstrated Ar-Ra'uf when he returned to Mecca after the ruling tribe had carried out a reign of terror against him and his followers. He took every possible means to be compassionate toward people who had been hostile to him, to take pity upon them, to take extraordinary pains, to show utmost respect in order to benefit them. He didn't punish anyone. There was no revenge. He used every possible way to show compassion and esteem for the people in Mecca. It is a shining example of quiet love, ar-Ra'uf, in the midst of difficulty. Just as the sound of the word Ra'uf has a tendency in the heart that is gentler than the wings of a butterfly, it is a kind of love that has conquered any defenses that the ego might put up. There is no longer anything to defend against for this love to flow within you. You have surrendered your defenses and worked to overthrow whatever nightmares and pains these defenses have been protecting. So ar-Ra'uf touches the deepest wounds there are. It goes to the place where you are, that sensitive hurts and wounds that you have lived your whole life defending from being touched. But this simple love can reach it. It is so quiet that it can penetrate the armor. It is even subtler than whatever's on the next page. What we generally understand by compassion. It is a gentle perfume. Now, I'm going to leave that at this for now, but quickly say that the secondary narcissistic wound is the wound that you feel that you've let down your family, your friends, your extended family, your society in general. And the primary narcissistic wound is the wound where you feel like you've let down God. Okay? After the discussion of these two wounds, there's the discussion of Al-Latif, which we'll start with next week. So next week we will do Al-Latif from chapter 6.
2 weeks.
And we will do chapter 7, the names that appear in the 7th chapter, which is called Allah's Opposite Qualities. Thank you, Shamsuddin, for the page turning.
T, I don't know if you can hear me, but no problem.
I hear you.
Okay, I'm going to turn it off now.
Does anyone want to say anything about these names, comments or questions about the names?
Yeah, I'd like to say just two things real quick. First of all, Talat, thank you for mentioning that there's a who at the beginning of Ayatul Kursi. I say that ayat quite often every day and never realized that. So thank you for that. And then I also wanted to mention that my previous name before Rehana was actually Sakina. So I completely forgot about it until it came up. I'm like, whoa, wait, I remember that. That was interesting. Thank you.
Magnificent. You're welcome. You're very welcome.
So I'm impressed with the depth of, I think you were just making that point just a little bit earlier where, you know, I don't even know how to put it into words, but like going into the depth and then all these subtleties of forgiveness and mercy. And it's a chapter I could go over probably 6 or 7 times like Hassan.
Yes. There's a lot in there. And a lot of shades of subtle meaning.
Also, Talat, in your studies of Arabic, I'm so impressed with these sound codes and that they worked out a language based on kind of a metaphysical understanding of the universe. It just blows my mind that they were able, I mean, you would think somebody must have been sitting around having a discussion. They said, okay, well, now this connects to this, and let's make a language. But I'm sure that's not how it unfolded.
Who knows? Maybe it did. Hebrew works the same way. Amharic, the Ethiopian language, works the same way. Aramaic works the same way. It's this principle of three-letter roots inserted into structures.
Uh-huh.
And David Bohm, the physicist, once wrote a piece about a language that he would create to replicate some of the principles of physics. And the kind of language the fake language he replicated was very similar to Arabic.
Are any of these things related to what I've read and heard about this number code that's in the Bible? The Hebrew letters and the numbers of the letters, and they make
Well,
all these.
absolutely, potentially, because each Arabic letter has got a numerical value.
Yeah,
So you can play with that if you want to. And people have done so.
right. Yeah, they put it in a computer.
Yeah.
The time now is 7:53 p.m. I understand that there is a surprise birthday party that's happening on Zoom at 8 o'clock for Haku, with the Rahman.
Oh.
His 70th birthday is today. So
Sweet.
I want to give folks time to get to that Zoom surprise party.
Yeah, that's where I'm going.
Always good to be there at the beginning. For the
Yeah,
All right, excellent. Good thing we stopped.
Yeah, so
thank you.
yeah, I hope everybody has that information that's going.
Will we normally go till 1/2 past the hour?
That's a good question. It's up to Talat. How long?
Roughly. I think about an hour and 15 minutes is about as much as we can take at one time.
And we're right at an hour and, I guess, 6 minutes. Our slow start today.
Pretty close.
So,
Shamsuddin, thank you for the pages.
thank you.
Sure. I just wish that they, when you say turn the page, I immediately go to a new page, and then there's 8 to 10 seconds before you see it. It's weird.
Yeah. Maybe next week mine will work. We'll see.
Yeah, I'm sure we can get
Last
yours
time.
going. Yep.
Or 2 weeks from now when we next
Yeah, it'll be
convene on the names. So read the Latif section of chapter 6, read chapter 7.
Roger.
I'll put that in the note. Let's do Khatum, if you lead us, Talat, and then we'll just say, see you later. Until next time.
O thou who art the perfection of love, harmony, and beauty, the Lord of heaven and earth, open our hearts that we may hear thy voice, which constantly comes from within. Disclose to us thy divine light, which is hidden in our souls, that we may know and understand life better. Most merciful and compassionate God, give us thy great goodness, teach us thy loving forgiveness, raise us above the distinctions and differences which divide. Send us the peace of thy divine Spirit, and unite us all in thy perfect being. Amen. Ooh. See you on the other side.
Aloha and mahalo.
Oh, bye-bye.